So you can think about so as being equivalent to because, but with the terms the other way around. So you might say, um, settlements have always grown up near reliable sources of water because water was needed for crops and animals as well as for people. So the other way around, water was needed for crops as well as for people. So settlements have always grown up near reliable sources of water. So it's about the logical relationship between the two things. Which one is the claim and which one is the reason? Which one is logically prior? Just depending on the order, we want to use either so or because.
So,
Mm. I I think thus works better as a, what do we call it? Con conjunctive. It works better at the head of a sentence, I think.
can you give us an example that we will remember?
Mm,
A simple one in conversation, even.
um, also, thus is a bit ambiguous because
Mm.
thus can mean in a particular manner, like look at this way that this happens, or it can mean as a consequence of. Um, so so is a bit clearer. Uh, the other thing is I I I just think so is a better choice for specifying the relationship of claim to reason, or rather in this case reason, therefore claim. Um, so it's signaling logic, whereas thus could signal the manner in which something is related to something else.
Yeah, but Paul, bend from the waist does. They
Mm.
plan to reduce its staff and thus to cut costs. There is no such a thing that we have a full sentence after thus. I couldn't find
Okay,
it.
so thus, comma, and then we have the rest of the sentence. That
So
that happens quite often. You'll see it in the examples on this page, I think.
this page,
Yeah, but I think the important thing here is um, the important thing on that
we don't
page
have comma.
is no, there's something else that's important. It's a subtly different logical relationship that thus is with this result. So one thing results from the other, or one thing happens in a certain way. Um, whereas you're not, in this case, we're not saying, um, we're talking about causes rather than follow-on results, further effects. Um, this is really hard to explain
But Adam,
because
not
whatever has been discussed in the previous sentence as a kind of effect of or a consequence of that, but they're not reasons for anything and they're not claims. So is setting up that this is a claim, um, and the reasons are given beforehand. Yeah, it's honestly it's a subtle difference. I would always have gone for so in this circumstance, but in terms of explaining exactly why,
you cannot
it's quite
verbalize
hard.
it. Okay.
It's quite hard to
Mm.
explain exactly why.
So, okay, but if someone asks you,
But that's not true of every example.
okay, so we
It's
have,
just that was the first thing I was thinking about when I thought about how thus is most often used. It's most often used to join two sentences together. But I think it's also usually about the manner in which something is done or the consequences of something rather than the reasons for something, if that makes sense. Yeah. Whereas this is about a claim and the reason is given beforehand. So water was needed for these things. So settlements have always grown up near reliable sources of water. So the claim is that settlements have always grown up near water. The reason is because water is needed for crops and animals.
So okay, and also these ones. What is your idea with these ones? S-
Um, so management management of water resources could involve meticulous study or could require, but it doesn't have meticulous study. It doesn't have moderate change. It it doesn't in this context, it doesn't have a brief existence because we've already got long history being
Mhm.
discussed in the rest of the paragraph. So the first two are just not things that the management of something can have. They're
So,
things that the management could require or could need or
so
necessitate.
if you wanted to use moderate change, we should say require
Mm.
moderate change.
Yeah, the management of water resources, you could say the successful management of water resources can require moderate change of something.
Okay.
Um, but
Yeah.
it has a history or of some duration. Yeah.
Yeah. And also these ones.
Yeah. Excavated ruins in India or similar antiquity retain the remains of water supply and drainage systems, which included baths and swimming pools. Yeah. So in this case, um, we needed to set up a relative clause, which included, because included, um,
So, so which is correct?
which is correct.
Well,
Yeah.
so that is also correct. You said, yeah.
That is that is not traditionally correct, but is correct in usage.
Mm.
It's the two have converged. So in this case, that would be fine. Um, but
So,
which included baths and swimming pools is the better choice. Yeah. Discover.
yeah. Can you
Um,
explain about this sentence completely?
yeah, similar antiquity means of the same old age, like the same
Oh,
ancient.
okay. Hmm.
They're from the same period in history. Um,
I mean, antiquity
uh,
is an adjective or?
so in this case, it's an adjective and it means of a similar age, but with the implication of a long duration. Like it's got a similar degree um of distance in the past from the present. So it's an adjective here. Antiquity is also sometimes used as a noun, and it just means the ancient world.
Yeah. And
So
also the yeah this. So which one here is correct? The start or the
when
started?
humans started, because it's definitely in the
Less.
past, it's
Yeah.
about history. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um, you could also say when humans began to grow food and establish permanent settlements.
Yeah. Okay. Great.